What's up, guys? Today we're going to be counting down the top 10 movies of the 1960s. So without further ado, let's hop right in. Hey guys, I actually forgot to mention this is the top 10 movies of the 1960s and before, not just the 1960s, because I wasn't going to make a top 10 movies of the 1950s or 40s or 30s, but I thought I'd include some of them in this list. Enjoy the vid. Coming in at number 10, we have Cool Hand Luke. This movie stars Paul Newman playing Luke Jackson, and Luke is sentenced to 2 years in prison. Well, this guy isn't like a normal criminal because he doesn't play by the rules. You know, he has this unbreakable will when the officers keep on hammering and going at him. Nothing's gonna stop him. He's got a willpower like none other, and you know he's able to actually escape from prison, and he serves as kind of an inspiration to some of these other convicts. You know, you get to enjoy their time in jail, see how they mess around, how they have fun, you know, how they kind of suffer being part of like a chain gang and stuff like that. But it's a very cool movie. I don't want to say it's inspirational because they're criminals, but you really start to look at Luke as this kind of hero figure, and it's a very, very cool movie. If you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. Number 9, we got Breakfast at Tiffany's, based on a novel by the same title. We got Audrey Hepburn playing Holly, who's this girl that, you know, comes to New York, and she meets this guy when she moves into her new apartment building. You know, and it's kind of the story of like their friendship and the companionship that everyone desires. She finds out that he's with an older woman, and he's this aspiring writer that hasn't had anything published in years. And she is just looking for an older, rich guy to marry. It's a very interesting kind of plot. But the real story is Holly and the narrator and their relationship and their friendship as it grows from when they first meet each other to kind of figuring out their lives. It's a really cool movie. I saw it in a film study class a couple years back. But Breakfast at Tiffany's is pretty much a classic at this point, so be sure to check that one out. Number 8, we have The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You know, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, but it's one that I saw with my dad, and it was a really cool movie. You know, you got Clint Eastwood playing this guy, Joe, and then you have Tuco, and there's kind of this weird, almost frenemy ship that these guys kind of have. You know, they team up, and they're both outlaws, but then Tuco ends up turning Joe in, which seems kind of weird because, you know, they were kind of together, but he wanted money. But then as soon as, you know, they're about to hang him, he saves his life. And there's kind of this, you know, this constant, I'm on your team, I'm against your team. And really the whole kind of central theme about this thing is, you know, greed is what is killing these guys. Greed is making them blind. Greed is making them selfish. And they're never able to have a truly good relationship like maybe they should. I guess that's up to interpretation, but it's a really cool, you know, Western movie. If you haven't seen many of those, this is the one that I always recommend to people because it's a really cool movie. It's one that you're kind of drilled in watching. Iconic music, iconic Clint Eastwood, and that's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You got to check it out. It's part of the Dollars trilogy. Number 7, we got West Side Story. This was one of the first musicals that I ever saw, and no, not the 2021 Spielberg West Side Story, the classic one from the 1960s. Now this is kind of a almost like a twist on Romeo and Juliet, right? You got these two gangs. There's the Sharks and the Jets. Now they're Puerto Rican and Polish gangs respectively. There's some racial tension, right? The Puerto Ricans and the other guys, they're kind of at war. They have beef. Well, one of the young Puerto Rican ladies falls in love with one of the white guys, you know? And there's already tension as far as the races go. So it's kind of that whole Romeo and Juliet thing, like our families don't like each other, but we're gonna fall in love anyway. You know, it's a musical. There's some really classic songs in there, but it's pretty intense musical because there's a lot of fights. There's even a death that happens. It's kind of cool just to see the dynamic of the gangs and the dynamic of the two star-crossed lovers. Really cool movie, really action-filled, lots of great dancing, music. And the style, I love the style. It's very cool, very 60s. But West Side Story, you got to check this one out before you check out the new one. I haven't even seen the new one yet because I'm scared to watch it because this one was just so good. But that's West Side Story. Number 6, we got The Imitation of Life. This movie, the first time I saw it, I was just absolutely blown away, and it was a phenomenal movie. It's another one that I saw in a film study class when I was in high school. We have this lady, Laura, who dreams of being on Broadway one day. So she's busy, always doing auditions and stuff like that. So she gets this African-American lady, Annie, to take care of her daughter. Now, Annie has a daughter of her own, too. She's a light-skinned girl, and there's two kind of main points that are kind of conflicts throughout the movie, right? So we have Laura, who is so into her dream that she kind of forgets her family and her daughter. So there's tension with that family relationship there. And then you take the relationship of Annie and her daughter, and it's the 1960s, so there's a lot of racial tension. Annie's daughter, Sarah, being this light-skinned girl, gets bullied when they find out that her mom is African American. So there's that conflict there. It's one of those movies that shows the honesty of the racial tensions that go on in this world, but show the beauty of how how races can come together and also work harmoniously. It's a very, very good movie. I definitely recommend everyone check it out. There's some hints of domestic abuse too in this movie. It's kind of a heavy one, but it's a great story that teaches you a bunch of things. The Imitation of Life, fantastic movie. I highly recommend it. Number 5, we got To Kill a Mockingbird. If you've been to school, you know of this book, and you've probably seen this movie. But it's another one that has to deal, with racial tensions of the time. You have Atticus Finch, this lawyer who ends up going kind of against the grain, and he defends a black man wrongfully accused of rape charges. This lady accuses him of rape, and of course everyone in the town is like, yeah, he did it, no trial necessary, he did it. And Atticus Finch is like, you know what? I'm gonna defend this man. We're gonna take it to court, and we're gonna see what happens. And it's very, very intense court scene. Very, very cool. The way the evidence is presented, and you hear from this side, you hear from that side. But it really just reveals the sad stereotyping and racial judgment that was happening in this film and at the time. But it's a really cool movie. Gregory Peck gives a phenomenal performance. As much as I love the movie, I gotta be honest with you guys, I like the book even better. I recommend both of them. This is kind of one that you have to see at some point in your life if you haven't watched it. If you haven't seen it in school, the curriculum is different than most, but fantastic movie no less. To Kill a Mockingbird, you gotta check it out. Number 4, we got Bonnie and Clyde. If you guys don't know the movie, you know the names. They're referenced all the time. Films, music. Bonnie and Clyde is the awesome kind of love tale of two criminals, right? You got Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway are the actors that play the characters. And, they end up forming this relationship and they fall in love. And it starts out as, just let's steal a car. And it escalates to robbing banks. It gets super intense. And then they even accumulate new members, with the fantastic Gene Hackman being one of them. So they go on these just criminal sprees of committing crimes. And, it's a really cool movie. The chase is very fun. Are they going to get caught or they're not going to get caught? But the tensions start to rise within the group as well. So not only are they on the run, but now with the couple and these other members, they start to kind of have tension, have beef, and it could end up leading to their downfall. Bonnie and Clyde, it's absolute classic. It's one you got to check out. One of my favorite movies of the 60s, obviously. That's Bonnie and Clyde. Number 3, we got Psycho. Very, very cool movie. We have Marion Crane, right? She's our main character. She's a thief, and she stole $40,000 from her employer. Her and her boyfriend, they want to run away. So they're driving, they're going. But her boyfriend Sam, he gets a little tired, so they decide to stop at a nearby motel. This motel being Bates Motel. Now, you've probably heard that name before. They made a TV show on it, but this is the OG film. So they stop there, right? They're greeted by the only guy that works there, Norman Bates. So they're at the hotel, the motel. They're staying there, and this guy has got a definite interest in taxidermy. He's kind of an oddball. Kind of seems to pop up everywhere, and he's got this really weird relationship with his mom. And they don't really know what's going on. There's the infamous shower scene, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but if you've seen the movie, or if you just know what I'm talking about because it's so iconic, there's the shower scene. And this movie kind of just reveals how people can really go insane. Norman Bates is such an odd character. He's portrayed so well by Anthony Perkins. Very creepy role. You're watching the movie and you're kind of just like, you feel uncomfortable by the dude's presence. But it's awesome movie. We got the original Scream Queen here in Janet Leigh. Psycho, it's an absolute classic, one of the OG slasher films. So if you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. Number 2, we got 12 Angry Men. Wow, this movie, everyone should watch this movie because it really teaches kind of independence and going against the grain. There's an inner city teenager that's suspected of murder, right? So the court gets a jury together, and the movie takes place in this jury room for almost 90% of the movie, right? There's these 12 guys, and they have to come to a unanimous decision on this case. Did the boy kill him? Did he not? And, it seems very one-sided at first. Everyone's like, yeah, he definitely did it, this inner city kid. Yeah, oh yeah, he definitely did it. But there's one guy played by the amazing, legendary Henry Fonda that starts to have doubts about the boy doing this crime. And so he starts to challenge the other members. He starts to question it. Things pop up. Evidence starts to kind of make the guy's gears turn. And he really just challenges what the obvious answer is. And it's a very cool movie. Even though it takes place in this courtroom and there's not really any action at all, you are so reeled into this film to see, are the other guys gonna turn to Henry Fonda's side, or are they gonna stay on this other side that they had already predetermined and picked in their minds? Very, very cool movie, 12 Angry Men. I would watch this one once a year. It's super, super good movie. And it's one you gotta check out for sure. All right, guys, before we move on, I got an honorable mention. That would be The Italian Job with Michael Caine. Really cool movie about, this is very James Bond-esque of this group going in and completing this crime. Really cool movie. Not much to it besides that. They've remade the movie in the past, but it's a good movie. Young Michael Caine. What else? All right, number 1, we have It's a Wonderful Life. If you've seen my top 10 favorite movies of all time, you guys would probably expect this to be number 1 on my list. This tells the story of George Bailey, played by James Stewart. Things are going all right for him. Things are going all right. He's living a normal life, and then everything just goes completely south. His dad's business that he's now running goes bankrupt. His daughter gets sick. He's losing all the money. His uncle lost all of the money that they were supposed to deposit. Somebody stole it. He's got a competitor at another bank that's running him out of business. Things are just going completely crazy. So the big man upstairs, the guy we all love, God, sends an angel named Clarence down to learn everything about him and to help him out. Because while all this bad stuff is happening, George starts to question life itself. And so he goes over to a bridge and he's standing there about to take his own life. Well, insert Clarence. Clarence comes to the rescue, this angel, and he helps George out. George says, "I wish I was never born at all." So this is the classic story you've seen redone in TV shows for years. This angel takes George to life without George, and he sees how his family turned out. He sees how his town turned out without him in it, and he starts to, come to the realization that what I did, my presence in this world actually matters. And it's one of those just amazing stories that reassures you that life is so important, and no matter how bad things can get, life is good. Life is good. There's beauty to life. You know, this movie that just makes you feel gratitude. Awesome performance by Jimmy Stewart. And it's one of those movies that doesn't go out of style. I watch it every year at Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life. It just kind of reels you back into the reality of how things in this life are better than they seem sometimes. It's an awesome movie. It's a Wonderful Life. It's one you absolutely have to check out. If you don't check out any of the other movies on this list, please watch this one. It's fantastic. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment on 2 videos, and you'll be automatically entered to win a $100 gift card at 100 subscribers. Thank you guys. Check out the TikTok Movies with Samuel. Follow my Instagram, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.